Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Spotlight on Addiction and Recovery. I'm your host, Scott Jones. Before we get started with the show, just want to remind you, make sure you like us on our YouTube channel, the ATC Network, and click subscribe and then click for the alerts. So that way you'll know when we have other programming coming on. We're constantly doing new programming. We want to bring as much addiction information and recovery information to you as possible. So that's why we're doing our show today, because we got a guest here, a gentleman I've known for quite some time now, Steve Farnsworth, who is the Executive Director of FARR, which is the Florida Association of Recovery Residences. How you doing, Steve?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great.
Thanks for letting me come.
No, not a problem at all. Now, first of all, let's explain quickly, what does that mean? The Florida Association of Recovery Residences. What is FARR?
It is a nonprofit, and the mission is to expand quality, stable housing across the state of Florida. And the way we do that is through an assessment to a national standard of best practices that comes from NAR, which is the National Alliance of Recovery Residences. And they have an affiliate. They welcome an affiliate from every state, but there's only about 35 states right now that have an affiliate. And Florida Association of Recovery Residences, FARR, is the selected affiliate by NAR. And
Okay.
and they only do one per state, with the exception of California. They let California have two because it's so far from
It's
north to south.
so big. I mean,
yeah.
Northern California and Southern California are two different places.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So FARR is the affiliate for NAR, and they got started in like 2011 as a, for lack of better words, like a trade organization where people could come and volunteer to get assessed and certified, so they could, put the logo on their marketing materials saying, "Hey, we're one of the good guys," because there was a lot of, predatory practices going on down here in South Florida, and there was also a lot of good players, and they wanted to be recognized above all the things that we were getting national documentaries.
Documentaries.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
And then in 2015, when the state enacted legislation that required certification under certain circumstances, they needed to select a credentialing body, and FARR was the obvious selection, although there were some other ideas, but they ended up choosing FARR. And so FARR has been the state-selected credentialing body for certified recovery residences since December of 2015.
So, when we're talking about recovery residences, let's assume people who are watching don't know anything.
Right.
We're talking about sober living facilities, halfway houses, three-quarter houses.
Yeah.
Is that the area we're covering?
There has to be a substance use track. Some of the houses, I'm going to call them providers. Some of the providers that we certify, because we don't necessarily certify houses, we certify programs, housing programs. And so you can't have like one house certified and one house not. You're either going to have your whole program certified or none, right?
Gotcha.
But just the nature of the substance use disorder is you're going to deal with some homelessness issues. You're going to deal with veterans. You're going to deal with mental health issues, and as long as there's a substance use track within your program, then you fall under. Then FARR can certify you. If you're just mental health or just a homeless advocate or something, then with no substance use track, then FARR is not the place to come get certified. Although we have a very well proven standard where you could mirror the standard and start your own assessment, program or credentialing body, but FARR specifically does substance use.
Okay, so you're saying you certify the program. So what kind of things are you looking for if you're going to have a program certified? Let's devil's advocate. There's been a lot of problems with people who maybe are new in recovery or who enter an area and say, "Ooh, there's a lot of recovery down here. I'm going to make some money and open some houses."
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of these places end up being very bad places. I mean, they're not good. They
Right.
don't have good services. There's not good supervision. There's nothing going on there that really is helpful.
Yeah.
but we want to make sure the ones who are good get recognition.
Absolutely.
So when you're certifying, what kind of things are you looking for that they're going to provide or that they do properly?
Right. Well, specifically, we are looking to make sure that you're in compliance with the national standard of best practices. And so I'll talk about the national standard of best practices. That'll answer your question.
Okay.
There's 4 domains. The first one is administrative. The second one is more of the, it's not architectural, but the actual brick and mortar,
The facility itself.
Make sure that
yeah.
it's safe. Make sure you're not putting 10 people in a four-man room or a 2-man room, right? Make sure there's a living space and stuff like that. It's a home-like environment. The third domain would be your recovery program. Now, we don't prescribe which recovery path you need to go down, but we do have a minimum standard of outcomes. Whatever path you choose to do, we want to see at least these types of outcomes, and that's what the third domain is. And then the fourth and last domain is the good neighbor policy. We want to make sure that our footprint on the community is either, at the very least neutral, but
Yeah.
preferably, a positive, footprint.
That's important too, because there's a lot of people that are saying, not in my neighborhood,
Oh,
and
yeah.
not my, but if they are following the best practices, and if they are up to the standards of FARR and NAR, and certainly your state and local legislatures too have different rules. Do you guys have to kind of like figure those out when you go into an area? Because what works down here in Fort Lauderdale might not work in Palm Beach, might not work up in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So you got to look at those things too, as far
Yeah.
as when you're credentialing.
Yeah, we definitely look at those things, but the other challenge that we have is, unfortunately, a lot of the local municipalities are actually violating federal law with some of their laws that they have enacted locally, and so we're very careful not to say you have to adhere to all local law or municipality laws. Even though we look to see if you are, and if you're not, we want to know why. But in order for us to enforce your compliance to a lot of local municipalities, you'll actually be breaking federal and state law in some cases.
Wow.
Because a lot of these local municipalities don't. We're taking steps, by the way, statutorily to try to get them to where they can't interpret laws the way that they want to. Because remember, a lot of these people in these local municipalities are representatives of the community, and representatives of the community are very, very often misinformed. And because of their misinformation, they don't want to see sober homes. They got that NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Yeah.
And so now you have these people that are in positions of power and decision making, and they're basically making up their own ways as they go along.
So does FAR kind of play a role in educating or helping municipalities and
Yes,
things like
absolutely. Well, if and when they're receptive, which is very far and few between.
Right.
Usually, so we are taking that approach. We don't have it in place yet, but that is the goal. But I think where we're going to get our biggest bang for our buck is with the individual person that's applying for certification, wants to start a sober home or recovery residence, and they have to go to their local municipality to get an occupancy permit or a reasonable accommodation. We want to stack the deck there, make sure they have all the information they need to protect themselves, and to say, hey, look, these are the federal laws. You don't have a choice. You have to give me this
Right.
reasonable accommodation.
I mean, it makes sense that there are certain situations where it's not appropriate, like smaller communities with HOAs and things like that. I get it.
Absolutely.
And that's all fine. But there should be enough room. In fact, most cities and stuff have unincorporated areas that actually would work out really well for recovery residences. So, is that something that you participate? If somebody wants to open, as a matter of fact, I'm going to put it out there now. If you're interested in doing something with a recovery residence, it's probably a good idea to start with you guys.
Yes.
Before you start purchasing and making deals, start and find out what you should and shouldn't do.
Yeah,
right?
let us inform you. We're not a policing agency
Right.
activity. We're a consultative. So you come to us, and we'll explain pretty much like the way I just answered your
Yeah.
questions, and then if you decide you want to apply, you do have to have the property first. We can't assess a program that doesn't exist.
No, but you would give them a helping hand, but to figure out where's a good place to put the property, those kind of things. They can call you for information, and
Absolutely.
that way they're not getting into a situation where it's like it's going to be problematic for them or you.
Yep. And there are some local municipalities, particularly here in Southeast Florida, which is where, close to 75% of our recovery residences is between Palm Beach and Broward County.
Wow.
And the rest are spread out across the state. But there's 8 communities that I'm aware of in Broward and Palm Beach that have passed zoning laws that require FAR certification under certain circumstances. And some of those, actually, I think every one of them, I don't think there's an exception, they also have proximity laws, rules attached to it, where you can't have a sober house within 660 or 600 feet of another sober house unless you were already there. There's a grandfather clause.
Right. Well, that makes sense. I mean, there's certain businesses, there's similar kind of rules with those. I mean, I get that.
Yeah.
How about school zones and things like that? Do they pay attention to those kind of things?
No, that hasn't really been an issue.
Okay.
And the thing about what did you mentioned, the stigma, like with NIMBY, not in my backyard.
Not in my
it's a great
backyard.
idea, but just don't put it in my backyard. What they, the information, the misinformation that they're getting is they don't understand that a FAR certified house, a program that's actually being overseen by a third party, non-biased entity like FAR, they actually give more back to the community than a normal house would. And by federal law, they're required to be treated like the functional equivalent of a family. And so if a city's gonna put restrictions or requirements on that house, they have to put it on every other house in the neighborhood by federal law for fair housing in Americans with Disability, because these people are a protected class.
Well, I know there's cities where they have some zoning where it's strictly residential. There could be no business that exists within that zone. So how does a sober living facility or a recovery residence fit? Is it a business or is it a residence? It's just,
Yeah, it's a really good question, and it's definitely, it's both is what it is. That's the answer.
Right.
And but like I said, if there is a restriction in that neighborhood that says absolutely no business will happen, so you can't have an accountant doing business out of his home,
Right.
then yeah, we would have to adhere to that same rule.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But I don't think there's neighborhoods that do that.
Well, I know there's zoning where they don't want businesses, and they have certain types where they
Types
don't
of
allow them in the
businesses.
area.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's based on traffic in and out of the business. Sometimes it's based on, whatever it might be. So, I get it. As long as it's not being restrictive simply to keep them out.
Exactly.
That's really the concern.
That's where the protection
Right.
that comes from the feds is.
And if they're restrictive against every kind of thing, that's one thing.
But you can't discriminate
But
against this class of people.
If they say, yeah, we'll let that, daycare's fine, that's fine. So, but no.
Right. And sometimes they'll do that in sneaky ways, like with fire code and such.
Yeah.
So they'll use that, and so they can't get, so we're just doing it for fire code. So we're also addressing that from the state.
Well, and there is fire
legislative.
code things you have to be concerned with. There are a lot of things you have to be concerned with that I don't think people know going into it. How many times have you seen somebody open a place up and then they really don't know what they're doing, and either end up getting in trouble or just it doesn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why something like FAR is such a great resource, because they can call you and say,
Yeah.
I'm starting to do this. What should I be looking for and stuff? And you want to help them, right?
That's right. That's our whole mission is to make it possible for you to own and operate a service, housing, be a housing provider. Remember, the mission for FAR is to expand quality, stable housing across the state. And so whatever we have to do, if we have to be your advocate, if we just want to bounce questions off us, whatever you need, whatever we can do to help expand that quality housing, we're going to do it. And so, just come to us, ask questions. That's why we're there. We are a little short-staffed, but we'll handle it. We'll get back to you.
You're short-staffed because you are a nonprofit.
That's right.
And you operate it would be really easy to fill it with staff and charge people an arm and a leg for every service you provide,
Right.
but that's not what you do.
Right.
So, but you are there to help, and I know that because
Right.
we've worked with you, Karen and I worked with you for a long time
Yep.
in different aspects,
Yep.
and certainly we've been talking about trying to expand trainings and everything else for people who are doing these things.
Yep.
So if we're talking to mom and dad or somebody who's in recovery and getting out of treatment and they want to start looking for a recovery residence, I think it's really confusing about what are the things you should be looking for in a recovery residence. Do you guys have kind of like an idea about, what are some things you should look for? It's got little to do with, it's on the beach. What are some good things that you should see?
Well, again, I'm going to revert to the standard because that's exactly what the purpose of the standard is to let you know these are the things that you should be looking for. Now you can pick that standard up, and a lot of it's not going to make sense to you if you haven't been in the recovery community,
Right?
If you're not familiar with it, and so that's why we're hoping that you can trust the certification process. And so initially, what I would tell somebody is make sure they're FARR certified, and if they're not, ask them why they're not.
Right.
And
Right.
And then if it's a place that you really want to use and they're not FARR certified, then pull the standard off of our website and read it, and get some ideas from the standard as to what questions you should ask these people.
That's a great. What is your website again?
FARRonline.org. FARR online.org.
Oh, excellent. That's easy.
Yeah, yeah, and the national is easy too. It's NARonline.org.
Oh, okay. Terrific. Terrific.
Yeah.
So it's a really good starting point. And, if they have the FARR certification, now, once they get the certification, do you guys kind of keep an eye on them and make sure that they stay on track?
Yeah, we have an agreement that we sign with each provider, and they have to allow us entry if we decide we want to do a random check-in, a random search, or a random visit. If somebody files a grievance, we're going to, in the process of investigating that grievance, we might want to do an on-site, drop in, and then the initial certification requires an on-site inspection, but so do all the annual renewals.
Okay.
So we're going to actually have one of our field assessors on site at the very minimum once a year, unless there's an issue, unless there's cause, but that's really because we're short-staffed. If we had more staffing, we could actually just drop in because we happen to be in the neighborhood and we want to say hi and see how you're doing.
Right.
Right.
Now, you said something interesting about grievances and different things. Are you an agency that somebody would report to if they see something that's going on? If it's a FARR certified house, certainly they should be letting you know if there's something going on there that they think is a violation, I say.
Well, even if it's
just
a concern, we want that information.
Any kind of concern.
Any kind of concern, even if you don't think it it meets the definition of a grievance, we want that information.
Right.
Right.
Because, that's important.
Absolutely.
Your whole job is information and
Right.
making sure that they're doing the right things and giving them the information so that they can do the right things.
And if they're not FARR certified, we want that information too, because eventually they might come through our doors applying for certification. Now we have that backstory.
Yeah, and like you said, in some communities, it is required. They have the FARR certification, correct?
That's correct.
Now, are those more than, is there quite a few, or are we just starting to really grow with that idea?
I think that the last time I counted, which was a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago last summer, there were 8 municipalities that actually had laws passed and through the zoning department, and there was about 8 others that had laws emerging, but not passed yet. And so, but I really think it's going to be a trend. I mean, I already think it is a trend, quite frankly.
I'm surprised. I would expect that pretty soon statewide they'll start doing things like that. I mean, you can't have treatment centers without certain certifications, whether it's DCF or which is Department of Children and Family Services, or JCO, which is Joint Commission, or ACA, or CARF. You've got to have some certifications to be able to operate. And one of the reasons they do that is because insurance companies say, well, we're not going to pay you unless you're certified in these areas. So that's But with recovery residences, it's a self-pay situation, so they don't have insurance companies dictating.
Right.
So it's really got to be up to us, not just you at FARR, but us as people who are concerned about recovery in our communities and things, to make sure that they're following standards and make sure that they're good for the community and things like that.
Yep.
I've seen some great places, Steve. I know you have too, where they've been a blessing to that neighborhood, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And the neighbors, they're good with the neighbors, and the neighbors are good with them.
Right.
So the stigma is so powerful. I've actually heard stories of people saying things along the lines of, "I heard there's a sober house in my neighborhood. When I figure out which house it is, I'm going to do everything I can to get rid of it." They don't even know which house it is.
So that's if it's not sticking out like a sore thumb.
Right.
I mean, kudos. That's good.
Right. So let me just tell you this too. The state statute only requires FARR certification if you are going to engage in referral relationships with licensed agents, such as treatment centers. Anybody that gets a state license, therapists, if they're going to refer and using their under the job that they're being licensed for, if they're going to be engaging in a referral, doesn't have to be a relationship, just a referral. They are required to refer to a certified house only, and they get $1,000 fine. As of last August, they started actually enacting it, or not enacting it, but enforcing it. But $1,000 fine, and if you become habitual, you can face a board and possibly lose your license. They're really serious about it.
So this is the treatment centers cannot refer to houses that are not certified.
Anybody that has a license from the state of Florida.
They're not. Oh wow.
A treatment center or a doctor or nurse or therapist, if you have a license and you get caught referring to a non-certified house, it's $1,000 fine per occurrence, plus facing the loss of license.
Well, it doesn't make sense not to get certified. I know it's not overly costly. I mean, it costs a little bit, but it's not that much.
Right.
Why would people not do it?
And it's really good marketing for your business.
It really is.
And if you really want to help these people, it's really good oversight for yourself to give yourself some confidence that you're doing, the best you can for these clients, for these residents. The other thing too, the advantages of being FARR certified. Last year we passed legislation that exempted FARR certified houses from the normal landlord-tenant law. To where, because a lot of people who are being asked to leave are calling the police and saying, I live here, I pay rent, I get mail. He has to go through an eviction to get rid of me, right? And the police were on their side. The police
wow.
like, yeah, it's true. And now you and I both know the general mentality of the alcoholic or the addict. They're eventually going to leave on their own. But
sure.
But in the meantime, it can be a serious pain and put other people at your house at risk. So last year we got passed where if you're a FARR certified house, not just a recovery residence, but a FARR certified recovery residence, you are exempted from landlord-tenant law. And we're trying to do the exact same thing with this fire code legislation that we're putting in this year, which is to that if you are FARR certified, the local municipalities, the local fire departments can't come and tell you to install sprinkler systems and escape hatches and such things that would just put you out of business.
So to avoid those things like the landlord-tenant or squatter's rights or whatever, it falls under.
Right.
But that's also a matter of paperwork as well that has to be done. You have to have a contract signed about behavior and different things, correct?
Yeah, on your intake.
You have to do all of that, and that's part of what you guys look at to make sure that their paperwork is in line and all their processes are in line. And it's not just to protect the client; it's to protect the business.
Everything.
I mean, people forget that, right?
Yeah, but our priorities are the client first, the community second, and then the provider third.
Okay.
But we also believe strongly that by protecting the client and the community, we're actually protecting the provider.
Well, of course, yes.
So,
if everybody's protected, then it's going to be much smoother.
Right, but that is our priority, client first.
But, I've seen situations, and I've just encouraged people because it wasn't that long ago. It was in the past year where my daughter had to go into a recovery residence, and we chose one based on somebody that somebody knew, and there was a situation, and we got there, and they had stacked clients in these bedrooms, like cordwood.
Oh, yeah.
And you couldn't even walk through the room with a suitcase. You had to lift it over the beds because they were so close together.
Right.
Like that much space. I know that's not code. And I know that's not up to your standards.
No, definitely not.
So, but they got all the excuses in the world why they're not FAR certified.
Right.
Well, obviously my daughter didn't stay there. We obviously, moved her to a better facility.
Right.
But, so if things like that are occurring, if it doesn't look right, it's probably not right.
That's
so
correct.
they should let you know.
Yes, and on the front page of our website, I think you might have to scroll down on most computers a little bit, but there's a big button that says file a grievance or a concern. And like I said, even if it's not a FAR certified house, any information you can give us will go into our database. And that way, if and when they do come to get certified, we will have that information.
Now, off the top of your head, I don't want an exact number because you probably don't know for sure, but do you know how many houses are certified or how many residences are certified in the state of Florida under FAR?
I know that we are just under 7,000 beds right now.
Under 7,000 beds.
Like
Okay.
6,800, something like that, 6,800
Okay.
beds. I mean, I could easily pull up on my phone, but I don't want to do it during this, during
But
what we're doing here.
that's got to be
But-
several hundred
Oh, yeah.
recovery residents.
Yes, and I also know that 40-ish, 42% maybe are in Palm Beach County, and then another 30% are in Broward County.
Sure.
And all the rest are scattered through the state. And so there's places around the state that are, providing treatment, and they're sending their people somewhere. We're not really sure where. So we're trying to get the word out there to let them know that they're breaking the law if they're referring people to these non-certified houses.
Yeah, there's a lot of backroom deals.
'Cause a lot of people
It's
don't
not
know.
the same as it used to be. I think it's getting better. But there are still some concerns
Yeah.
out there that you certainly have to address.
Yeah, and I feel that outside of Palm Beach and Broward, that a lot of the other, areas of the state, there's a general feeling of, we are paying consequences for what was a Southeast Florida problem,
Yeah.
and so they're not like going, yeah, let's go FAR, you know what I mean? Because they don't really know.
If you were in Jacksonville or in the Panhandle, everybody would be like, "Oh, okay, yeah." But because of your physical location, you kind of get lumped in.
Yeah.
With some of the, I mean, let's admit there was some dirty works going on
Oh, yeah.
down here.
And there still is.
And trust me, every state there's dirty works going on.
Every state.
Texas, California, New York, Pennsylvania. I mean, it's going on everywhere. It just happened to be really super concentrated here, so it looked like a cluster of badness.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm of circumstance.
really was.
From the beaches and the sunshine and the destination, area, and then the housing market was, down about 25, 30% what it is today. So there's a lot of property on the market. The opioid epidemic kicked in, 20, 25 years ago. The Affordable Care Act kicked in that required people to cover substance use and to allow your kids to stay on your policy till you're 26. And so they had people, they were flying young people under 26 up to places like New Jersey that were reimbursing up to $4,000 per urine cup from their insurance companies, flying them up there and just telling them to go to the 12-step meetings and see if they're on their parents' insurance and if they want an all-expenses-paid trip to Florida. And as long as they pee in a cup 4 times a week for me, that's $16,000 per person per week.
And the cost of those real tests, I mean, the
$5
cup itself is a couple of bucks. If
Yeah.
you even send it to a lab, it could be $30, $40.
Yeah.
And they're getting $4,000
Yeah,
for them.
there's a lot of money being made.
It's not happening anymore.
No.
But
People
boy,
are
that was
smartening up.
it.
It was bad.
Really tempted people,
Yeah.
even people who started on a good thought and wanted to do the right thing,
Yeah.
got really pulled into it because
Yeah.
once you start seeing that money flow,
Oh yeah, it's tough to turn your back on it, but psychopathic behavior, even if it's not on purpose. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely.
Right, but if you didn't go home in a body bag and you made it to your 26th birthday, then you were homeless in South Florida, walking around with a suitcase around the beach.
Wow.
And because at 26, you're not valuable anymore. There's no value on you. And then the real sad part is if any of them ever do get to the point where they really want help, their insurance is capped out.
Now, let me ask you a couple questions. Just so,
course.
first of all, FAR, great resource if you work in the industry to work with you, get certified. You guys got a lot of great information that goes well beyond even the housing, and I know that you're great people. parents, if they're looking for a place for their kid, can they go to your FARR site and look for things that are in the area and get a list from you?
Yeah, our website is up to the date and up to the minute information. The second we certify somebody, the system automatically puts them on the list, and as soon as we pull somebody's cert, they automatically come off. And you can filter it by city, by county. If you actually know the name of the facility you're looking for, you can type that into our filter button section. And you can also filter it by gender and by level. Level 4s are housing components of treatment centers. So if you're not looking to put them in treatment, everybody.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Everybody that's in a level 4 house is in that treatment program.
Right.
So if you're not looking for that, then you can eliminate the level 4s. And we don't really have any level 1s. Level 1s are more just peer supportive. There's not a whole lot of oversight. So you'll usually see those.
Would that be more like an Oxford situation?
Similar, but
Yeah.
Florida's got some statutory requirements that Oxford is exempted.
Okay.
A lot of times a level 4 program will have a step down program, like the last place you go before you're out on your own is like a level 1 house. That's the only really level 1s we have in Florida that I'm aware of. So most of them are level 2s and 3s. 2 is your typical house manager. It's usually the senior resident. And then your level 3 is when the oversight is given by somebody who's credentialed, and it's 24-hour.
Okay. All right.
24-hour oversight. And so depending on what kind of services you're looking for, you can query that database, using that filter button by the level. We have options in there for pets, LGBTQs, veterans. Trying to remember what the other ones are. There's some others, a couple others on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can query it right down to whatever it is you're looking for. And then just broaden your search if you're not finding what you're looking for.
That's really good, though, with things like LGBTQ or veterans, first responders, even things like that.
Yeah.
It would be nice to find a house that caters towards your specific, because there are specific needs of certain people.
Yeah.
So that's good. The other thing I wanted to ask you is a lot of situations come up where we have a client coming out of treatment. And this client, insurance has covered treatment and everything else. Now you're going into a sober living situation where you have to pay.
Yeah.
Insurance does not pay for the sober residents.
That's correct.
It does not. Anybody that's billing your insurance for sober residents, level 1, can they bill insurance for the services or no? Or level 4, I mean.
Depends on what license they have with DCF.
Okay. All right.
But for the most part, if they're coming if they're a FAR certified house, it's not somebody that it's not a place where, you have to be paying rent.
Right. Any auxiliary service, you go outside to see doctors and stuff, that's different. So you got somebody coming out and they're trying their best. They don't have a job yet. They've got little or no income at all or savings. What is the standard for going into a sober living where they can help you at the beginning, but they
it's a big problem. It's a big problem, and and even if they are fortunate enough to get a job fairly quickly, they're not going to see a paycheck for a couple of weeks. So,
absolutely.
So it's a problem that we need to figure out how we're going to address it. But right now that is a crack in the whole system. We just need to work it out. Either get get a family member to pay for it, or sometimes the providers will say, we'll give you a break for a couple of weeks, or you can pay us back, a little IOU or something.
So that can be legit. That's legitimate. If they say, listen, as long as you're out looking for work and doing the things you're supposed to do, and you follow our rules, then we're going to delay your payment for 3 weeks.
It needs to be documented.
You'll make it up for us, or we'll put it under our scholarship. But it's got to be documented and signed off.
It has to be documented so that we can assess it and make sure that you're not just offering, free rent or any other kind of inducement.
That's where it gets interesting, because there's traditionally been recovery residences that are attached to things like IOPs and stuff. Yeah. How does that work? Because I know there's certain recovery residences that in the past, I don't know if they do it anymore, if you go to our residence, you have to go to this IOP or our IOP as well. Right. Are they allowed to do that?
In some cases, the level 4 is for sure, and I think that would probably if you had that requirement, that would put you in that category as a level 4, right? Where the level 3s, they might be part of your treatment program, but they don't necessarily have to be, you know. And, so yeah, we'd have to look at the specific circumstances, and if you think that, remember, the priority is the client, right?
Sure.
And so if when you ask yourself the question, am I trying to provide the best service that we as a community, we as a society have to offer this particular person with this particular person's needs, right? Am I doing the best I can to get that person that service, whether it's with me or somebody else?
Right.
That's the real question.
But again, I can't say this enough. If you are dealing with recovery residences as a family member or even as somebody in there, in a residence, and you see something and you're not sure if it's right, just check in with you guys.
Yeah, call us.
And maybe it's something that's okay to do, but you're just not sure.
Call us.
It's nothing to give you guys a shout.
Send us an email.
Yeah.
Get our website. You can submit a question on our website too, and I answer every single one of them.
I think, the funny thing is you see families that'll research their vacation more than they research recovery residence.
Oh, yeah.
We're going in a week, we're going to Disney and we got research. We looked at all the hotels. We compared them all. We did this, we did that. And then in recovery residence, it's like, okay, yeah, we can afford that. Then just go there. Put some thought into it.
Yeah. Well, they're probably not going to. It's just the way it is, and that's why FARR is so important.
Right.
And I've often told people, our product is integrity, and if we lose that, we got nothing.
How'd you fall into all of this? I just got to ask. I mean, it seems like, did you know somebody and you got involved on the side, and all of a sudden now you're the executive director, or what happened?
No, I've been sober 31 years. I've always been active and helping others. And in the process of that, obviously, some of these people, regardless of what other circumstances a person has going on, they always need safe housing, right? And so over the years, I've tried different ways of finding and providing housing for people. I've never made a business out of it personally. Not that I don't see a problem with that with other people, but I just was always I'm an aviator by passion.
Oh, okay.
And so I was always had a full-time job in the aviation field somewhere, and so this was always evenings and weekends type of stuff for me. But in the process, I did a lot of volunteer work at a lot of different housing ventures, and even tried to help some people get them going, and I had different positions in these different ventures. But what I jokingly but seriously like to say is I became an expert on what does not work in recovery housing over all those years, and I got the attention of a mutual friend of ours who was spearheading getting FARR going, and
obviously you're talking about John and
and he knew me, and he was up in Maryland in the summer of 2017, and I had been at my current job for 20 years, and I was pushing 60 years old, and I was just telling him that I'm thinking about doing something different, and I'm figuring if I want to start something new, then I should probably do it now. And I was putting an application package together as a substance abuse coordinator for the University of Baltimore. And he happened to be in town. I heard he was in town. I asked him out to dinner. I asked him to speak at my meeting. And I was just saying, hey, would you be willing to throw a character reference letter together for me for this package I'm putting together? And then he said, he asked me why, and I explained it to him. And then he said, well, I got a better idea, but it's going to require you to move to South Florida. And I remember looking at him, and I remember telling him, like, I just got done telling God that I am never moving again. And so God's got some serious control issues, right? Mm-hmm. And the more he talked about it, the more I was basically realizing that this was God answering my prayers, as far as what I was looking for.
What time of year was this?
It was like July, August of 2017.
Oh, okay.
Like maybe July, and then
I was going to say, if it happened in February, leaving Baltimore in February to come here,
oh, yeah.
that would make sense.
Well, it gets pretty warm in Baltimore too. It's muggier too. But
Yeah,
a lot of people
is.
don't understand. But they had their next board meeting in Orlando in August, which was a month or two after John and I had that conversation, and they flew me down for the board meeting, and I met all the board members, and we talked about it, and they made the decision there, and then October 1st was my start date.
Now, I know a lot of these people on this board. Impressive people. People who have dedicated themselves. The ones I know, I think I know half of them, but I know of the other ones, but they're all dedicated to doing the right thing and working and trying to, again, help the individual. I mean, at the end of the day, with all of the stuff you're doing, it all filters down to we're helping one person recover.
That's it.
Right?
It's all about the one.
And I just, I'm so happy that you do what you do.
Me too.
I encourage, if you're listening to this and you haven't been talked to FARR about getting your certification and having them back you, because that's really what it is. It's not just a matter of a piece of paper. It's a matter of getting them to back you in being successful to help your clients.
That's correct.
Do it. Any little bit of pain in the butt you got to go through is worth it 1,000%.
Right.
It's just think of it this way: it's a lot better to have somebody in your corner helping you do the right thing than to do the wrong thing, even accidentally, and then suffer those consequences,
Right.
or lose a client because of it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what can happen.
Oh, yeah.
All these standards and everything you're putting in place, some people might look at it and say, "Well, this is stupid." No. All of it is designed for one purpose, right?
Yeah. But not just to keep them alive, but also to give them a quality life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To work well within the neighborhoods, to work well within the towns and the communities.
Right. Yep. Give back.
I've met people who operate sober livings who aren't proud of it.
Are not proud of it?
They are not proud of it. They're not like walking around saying, "Yes, I got it." It's kind of like they're almost ashamed just because they're running flop houses.
Oh, okay.
You should be proud of what you do.
Absolutely.
And if you follow the standards, you can be, right?
Right. Yeah. And honestly, I think it's less work to be a good player than it is to be a bad player.
It really is. It really is. The problem is it requires more effort up front.
Yeah, and you need to open up your mind and your heart and your ego and let us help you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Steve, man, I appreciate you coming in today.
Thank you.
Man.
I enjoyed it.
This is great.
Yeah.
If you want more information about Steve or about FARR, or if you are looking for any kind of recovery residence for yourself or somebody that you care about, you want to contact FARR, you go right to their website, FARR, that's FARR online.org. So that's FARRonline.org. It's right there on your screen, so check it out.
Great.
But Steve, keep up the good work.
Yep, you too.
I hope everybody out there listens to this, and if you are a recovery resident, you have not been certified by FARR, get on it. Get on it, because sooner or later, everybody's going to have this certification. I guarantee it.
And it's not as difficult as people like to.
It's really not difficult,
Right.
but if you wait until the last minute when your municipality or your town or the state says you have to have this, or somebody's breathing down your neck because you're accepting referrals and you're not certified, you wait till the last minute, you're going to end up in a log jam. Go do it now. Go do it now. Get certified. These guys are here to help you. All the staff over there. There's not a lot, but you all care.
That's true. That's one of the requirements to work for us.
You got to care.
You got to care.
It's not just a job. It's an
Right.
adventure.
If you're here just for a paycheck, you're not lasting.
Excellent. So check them out again, FARRonline.org. Thanks for joining us again today. Thank my guest, Steve Farnsworth. I'm Scott Jones, your host. We'll catch you next time right here on Spotlight on Addiction and Recovery.